The sun blazed high and merciless, flooding the empty highway with a glaring brightness that sharpened every shadow and made each breath feel heavier. In the midst of that blinding daylight, a young woman in a torn red dress ran as if the ground behind her were ablaze. Mara's lungs burned, her feet ached, and her heartbeat roared, louder than the distant vehicles. But she dared not stop, not while the two masked men behind her closed the distance with terrifying certainty. Not when the world seemed to collapse into a narrow tunnel with a fragile hope at its end. Her life had condensed into a single desperate instinct: run or die. And as she sprinted across the asphalt, she had no idea whether she was racing to safety or the final chapter of her story. If you believe kindness deserves a place in this world, if you believe in second chances and standing up for others, please like, comment, share, and subscribe too, to help stories of courage reach more hearts. Mara had never imagined her day could twist into a nightmare. She had left her small apartment during daylight, heading to work with a notebook in her bag and hope for a better tomorrow. She was a quiet, hard-working florist whose biggest dream was opening her own shop. But dreams have a cruel way of colliding with danger when least expected. The masked men had snatched her from the sidewalk, dragging her toward a van without a word, without reason she could comprehend. She didn't know their names or motives, only that their movements were cold, purposeful, and merciless. When she broke free, it was pure instinct, an adrenaline surge that propelled her legs before her mind had caught up. As Mara ran, sunlight shimmered off the hot pavement, making everything feel surreal, almost dreamlike, as if she had stumbled into someone else's nightmare. She heard one of the men curse behind her, the sound cutting across the empty road. Her breath shuddered. Her legs threatened to collapse, yet she pressed on, feeling the danger close in, step by step, breath by breath. Then she saw them. 3 men stood beside their motorcycles on the roadside, leather vests glinting in the sunlight, powerful engines gleaming like steel beasts at rest. They were members of the Hells Angels, large, tattooed, imposing figures whose presence could silence a crowd. Mara had glimpsed them around town, always riding together with thunder in their wake. Today, however, they were more than riders. They were witnesses to her terror. The closest biker, a tall, broad man named Roar, noticed her first. His expression shifted from neutral to focused as he saw the fear etched across her face and the masked men closing in. The other two, Griff and Maddox, straightened, their posture tightening like coiled steel. They didn't need explanation. The truth was clear in the way she stumbled toward them, desperate for help, her red dress fluttering violently in the hot breeze. Mara's voice barely rose above a whisper as she reached them, her chest heaving. Words failed her. Only a broken sound carried the weight of her fear. That was enough. Roar stepped forward, an immovable wall of calm fury. Griff and Maddox flanked him, boots planted, eyes burning with a protective instinct born of witnessing. Too many flee danger alone. When the masked men hesitated, seeing the bikers, the road seemed to hold its breath. Their threats trembled, revealing fear they tried to hide. The bikers stood still, unflinching, weighing the intentions of the strangers, judging them unworthy. Tension crackled across the asphalt like static, wrapping the moment in uncertainty. Finally, Roar stepped forward, not with aggression, but with a steady command that proved more intimidating than raised fists. His presence alone forced the masked men to inch back, confidence leaking away. The bikers carried no weapons beyond their strength and unspoken code. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Mara realized in that moment she was no longer alone. The masked men retreated, fear replacing whatever cruel purpose had driven them. The bikers ensured they went far enough to pose no immediate threat. Only when they disappeared down the road did Roar turn to Mara, gentleness softening the hard lines of his face. He offered her his jacket silently, while Maddox guided her to sit on the curb, preventing collapse from shock. Mara tried to explain, her voice shaking, her fear raw, but the bikers needed no details to grasp the weight of her ordeal. They stayed close, forming a protective circle around her trembling frame. The midday sun warmed her skin, yet it was their silent reassurance that steadied her heartbeat. When police arrived, called by Griff while Mara caught her breath, she felt safe for the first time since the nightmare began. Officers questioned her gently, with the bikers standing close, ensuring she never felt alone. By the time the masked men were captured, Mara's trembling had eased, replaced by a fragile strength she hadn't known she possessed. Roar eventually asked if she needed a ride home. When she nodded, he handed her a helmet with a reassuring half-smile. As she climbed onto the motorcycle, she understood something life-changing. Despite the terror she had endured, the world still held protectors who acted from instinctive kindness, even when owed nothing. The ride back through sunlit streets felt like breathing again after nearly drowning. Mara held on tightly, not from fear, but gratitude, knowing she had been minutes from disappearing forever. These strangers had chosen to save her without hesitation or reward, simply because it was the right thing to do. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness still exists in unexpected places, please like the video, subscribe, and share it so more people can feel that same hope. Before you go, tell us in the comments which part moved you the most. As sunlight continued to sweep across the city, Mara realized sometimes heroes arrive on roaring engines wearing leather and steel, not to intimidate, but to stand between darkness and those who need a second chance to breathe again.